Welcome back. Like most modern politicians, France's president, Nicolas Sarkozy, is a savvy media player. Although a relative newcomer, he's been in power for just over a year. He's had plenty of coverage in the global media, and more significantly, he's changing the media landscape at home. Sarkozy has just announced that he will personally appoint the next president of France's public service television, a move his critics see as a blatant power grab. Sarkozy is proving to be very hands-on when it comes to media issues, deciding on everything from whether state-funded broadcasters should sell advertising time to who reads the news on TV. The Listening Post's Meenakshi Ravi now with a look at the man who's shaking up France's media.
One French headline said it all: Sarkovision, a new vision of French television which is causing outrage throughout the country's media circles.
He launched a bombshell. He announced, "I am going to name the president of France Télévisions." It's the whole public sector television. I mean, can you imagine if Gordon Brown called everyone to 10 Downing Street and said, "From now on, I name the head of the BBC."
Sarkozy also announced earlier this year that French public TV is to lose its advertising revenue, leaving the channels with a possible €400 million deficit. That's about $632 million. His aggressive media moves have prompted comparisons with other politicians come media tycoons, like Italian Prime Minister Silvio Berlusconi.
Le Monde said that unlike Silvio Berlusconi, Sarkozy does not have the money to buy the television networks, therefore he has just taken them over.
To understand Sarkozy, you need to understand who his friends are in the media. The French president is closely connected to the national media power trio. Martin Bouygues, who, aside from telecom's interests, owns TF1, France's biggest commercial TV station. Vincent Bolloré, who owns news channel Direct 8, as well as morning and evening free sheets. And Arnaud Lagardère of Paris Match and Europe 1, which is one of France's most popular radio stations.
Vincent Bolloré, for example, lent him his yacht when Sarkozy and his wife went for a holiday after he was elected president last year. Martin Bouygues is godfather to one of his sons. So you can see that these aren't just acquaintances, they're real friends.
And he made sure that those friends were there when he needed them.
With one of those friends, Lagardère, the owner of Paris Match, it is said to have taken just one phone call to have the magazine's editor removed after he published a cover photo of Sarkozy's first wife and her new lover. And then there was the famous case of Sarkozy's first appearance at a global summit, the G8 in June last year.
Mesdames et messieurs, je vous demande de bien vouloir excuser mon retard, qui est dû à la longueur du dialogue que je viens d'avoir avec Monsieur Poutine. Qu'est-ce que vous préférez, que je réponde aux questions? Alors, y a-t-il des questions? Allez-y.
After making impertinent comments about the president's condition, France's most famous anchor, Patrick Poivre d'Avoine, was replaced by Sarkozy's glamorous TV host friend, Laurence Ferrari.
Bonsoir! Bienvenue dans 7 à 8 ce soir!
Sarkozy's marriage in February 2008 to model Carla Bruni generated headlines around the world and has meant that the couple are rarely out of the French media spotlight, a departure from the traditional secrecy surrounding the private lives of French presidents.
There's still a huge amount of interest in the private life of Nicolas Sarkozy and his new wife, Carla Bruni. And in a way, Sarkozy has created this interest. He's been the very first French president to break a taboo, which was that private lives are private affairs and no questions will ever be asked or answered on those sorts of subjects. But by opening that door, he has really raised a whole series of questions out there in the press that people want answered now. So they want the latest episode. It's become a sort of soap opera, which is utterly unheard of in recent French presidential history.
But now, the man who is said to love being on television is moving to ensure that he controls major appointments in media in France, not just in public TV, but on commercial channels like TF1 as well.
TF1 has played a key role in getting him elected. And the head of news, who has just been appointed on that channel, is known for his very favorable views on Sarkozy.
And the French press has not been immune to Sarkozy's influence either.
Le Figaro, in reporting his announcements about France Télévisions, talked only about the banning of advertising, as if it were a gift to television viewers. The only mention in Le Figaro was on the very last page of the finance sector, and it said that the president, and I quote, clarified the mode of nomination of the president of France Télévisions. To me, that newspaper has become like Pravda.
But despite all this muscle flexing, Sarkozy doesn't have total control of France's media. The left-wing press in the country is extremely critical of the president.
A lot of newspapers are on the left, Le Monde, Libération, Marianne, Nouvel Observateur. On the whole, he doesn't get an easy ride in the French press. He's criticised the whole time.
Fueling the anti-Sarko media fire has been the proposal of a new law on journalist sources. Originally, the bill was touted as one that would protect reporters from being pressured to reveal their sources. But the French media feels that the law is far from protective.
It is up to the judge to interpret what is in the public interest, in what specific cases the journalists can be forced to reveal their sources. So the fear, the danger is that this will be used arbitrarily.
From media darling to near media dictator, Sarkozy's influence on French media has observers worried about just how far he will try to extend his control.
He's very interventionist, and from my point of view, he has lost a lot of the balance that the state, and particularly the head of the state, should have in relation to information in general and the media in particular.
He does have a tendency to dominate everything he touches. What we're seeing in the audiovisual sector, in television and radio, is symptomatic of that. The president wants to control everything. I think in America they'd say he was a control freak.
More Global Village Voices now on the Sarkozy story.
Moves to widen the scope for prosecution of journalists for not revealing their sources. They, in particular, would certainly make his relationship with the media and his influence on it very problematic.
As for the future of French media, I think that a lot of journalists will actually turn to, a lot of journalists and activists will turn to blogging and will turn to the internet to actually get the information. A lot of stories in the past year have actually broken thanks to the blogosphere, thanks to French bloggers who've discovered things that French journalists did not write about. So I think that with a lot of people distrusting Sarkozy and its relationship to the media, we might see people turning to the internet more and more, which is a good thing, I think.
Finally, the World Wide Web is a wonderful showcase for emerging musical talents and genres. Take beatboxing, for example. It's a form of vocal percussion in which musicians imitate the sounds of all kinds of instruments. It's big in the hip-hop world, but it's not limited to that. David Michaud is a beatbox artist from Canada whose one-man band production has attracted hundreds of thousands of web hits. It's our Internet Video of the Week. We'll see you next time at The Listening Post.